Right, hello, welcome everybody. Welcome to the second instalment of Matt's Chats. Last week we had the pleasure of doing Lee Mark Jones from Gypsy Pistoleros. Now we've got something very, very special for you. Everyone knows about family resemblance and families taking part in bands. You think of AC/DC, the Young Brothers, you think of the Kinks, you think of the Gallagher. No, perhaps we'll leave those alone. But when you have a unique father and daughter relationship in a band, it has to be taken seriously. And it is with great pleasure that I can welcome for you today the one and only Steve Janevski and his wonderful daughter, Cassidy Paris. Hello, guys.
Hello, very nice to be talking to you on here. Thank you so much for having us.
Cheers, it's an absolute pleasure. How are you finding the English weather?
You know what? English weather, I know it's not ideal for a lot of people here, but in Melbourne, it's not that much better at the moment. So we're kind of, yeah, exactly. So we're very used to this type of weather, and here in Melbourne, living in Melbourne. So yeah, it's not too different to us. So
yeah. I think people think of Australia always as being sunny all the time, but where we live in Melbourne, it's up and down, so anything goes.
Yeah.
Well, I've been there. And we'll come to that a bit later on, okay? Because there's a little story I've got to tell you at the end of this little piece, a little something you'll quite like. Anyway, which will explain a few things. Now, I've had a great pleasure. This story begins about 2.5 years ago during lockdown. I was scrolling through various things, looking for new music. My band couldn't play anywhere. And I came across Cassidy. And I started reading up on her and about her stand against bullying. And I thought, wow, what a girl. And really, really impressed with that. It struck a chord with me. And reading through that, and I carried on. Then I came across a track called Wannabe. And I started playing it. And I was actually pulling up to the traffic lights with this song going on the car. And two girls came next to me, doing themselves in the mirror. I just turned it up. I just mouthed the words at them and then dropped. I think I texted you that at the time.
That's the best.
I never thought I'd actually, you said you might come to the UK. I never thought I'd get a chance. But then when you were at Hard Rock Hell, it was great. I was so happy to finally meet you and to meet your dad as well. And
likewise.
Thank you. And it brought back the memories of like when Fraternity came over with Bon Scott. They brought the whole family over, and they did that. And your whole band. Tell me a little bit about the connection with you guys and the band situation.
Do you want to begin?
Okay. Well, from an early age, when I started playing music, when Cassidy was born, she pretty much was on the road with myself and my wife in terms of shows that I'd been playing around the world. So I remember playing shows at the Hard Rock Cafe in Melbourne, and she'd be there sitting on her stool, as of like 15, 16 months old, just sort of nodding. So she's been brought up on music right throughout. So there's nothing fake or anything like about this. Cassidy knows her stuff. She's grown up on rock and roll. And getting back to what you were saying about the bullying thing, I mean, from a parent's point of view, it breaks your heart when when you have your kid come home from school, and Cassie would tell me sometimes the kids wouldn't give her a fair go in music class because whether it be because she's a girl, and sometimes you'd have other girls who'd kind of get snarky because Cassidy was kind of the different one. So it's I always try to, and my wife as well, we just try to instill positive, good values with Cassidy, and that's what it's all about. And slowly, as she's got older, I think you picked up the guitar when you're the age of 7.
Yeah.
And I always encourage Cassidy to just go with what she wants to do. And she started singing when she was about 9 years old, and most importantly, she started songwriting at an early age, and I think that's really important. So when people actually come to the shows, Cassidy does write her songs.
Yeah, for sure. And I think even from my perspective, when Dad was obviously, and he still is obviously very connected in the music scene, whether that be in Melbourne or worldwide, it was a really positive experience for me because I had a lot of heavyweights in the industry surrounding me. So I had people like Danny Ciccardi, Paul Lane. I had fantastic singers, songwriters, musicians around me my entire life. So they were really able to prime me for what the music industry is like. And I just felt very supported, very connected in that industry. So when I went to school, it was very different. So I couldn't really understand why people weren't understanding why I couldn't be a unique person and I couldn't stand out from a crowd. So yeah, that's really basically the beginning of it, to be honest.
It's amazing. It's a great story. I've got 2 kids of my own. My son plays guitar. My daughter plays football, and it was just something that touched me. I stood to the side of the stage when you were playing at Hard Rock Hell, and I love watching it. I love the confidence that you have of having, your father next to you, but the connection you have on stage. It's a very magical thing. And being a father, I got that straight away. And it really brought a little tear to my eye. I thought that's what it's about. The joy that you must feel, Steve, when you see her perform with such confidence in front of a guy audience who are there looking, and she just commands the audience totally. And it also frees you up to play. I mean, you're a great guitarist. I mean, seriously, some of the licks are very kind of like John Sykes, Zach Wild. Those are the kind of people that get in my head, and I see you play, and it's a wonderful combination with, you got almost like Avril Lavigne, Joan Jett, and with your vocals and stuff. And it's great to go back to that. I think 80s sort of rock is quite relevant at the moment, and you're tearing it up on the tour. I mean, how are you finding the tour?
Thank you. Yeah, like it's been absolutely fantastic. We couldn't have asked for a better response. To walk into HRH and the security guard told me that I packed out a room and they've closed the doors and no one can get in. It's one in, one. That was just a mind-blowing thing to kind of walk onto the tour with. So that gave me a lot of confidence, and it was awesome to be able to connect with that many people at a festival and at a place that I've never played before. So for people that don't know, this is Wicked Smile and Cassidy Paris' first time being in the UK, and the reception has just been absolutely wonderful.
I think also it's the ultimate compliment when, like, Cassidy sold out of her CDs within, I think that after 2 shows, and we brought quite a lot. And as of last night, we have pretty much sold out of all the T-shirts as well that we ordered, and we ordered a lot of those. So we are now ordering more T-shirts for the last 2 shows in Bathgate and in Troon at Winterstorm.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. When this interview comes out, it'll be on the evening of the Bathgate gig. So I really want, if you're in Bathgate and this is coming out tonight, go and see them. Get down there now. Put this interview on hold and go down to Bathgate tonight and go and see them. And then tomorrow it's Winterstorm, where you're going to tear it up. But awesome. No, it's great, the reception. But you deserve that. You perform in a way that commands an audience. I always like to see. I said this to Lee last week when I was interviewing him. I love to see a frontman. I grew up with that. My background is rock and roll. I love to see performers, but to just see you enjoy yourself, just in front of an audience, and it connects. And you've really connected over here. I don't think you quite realise how the impact you've had. You'll know when you get back home, and that's what I was determined. I've posted a couple of pictures of me with you, and the inboxes I'm getting from people is like, oh my God, how did you meet her? And all this kind of stuff. And that's great, and that's what you want. The music's great. You're in great hands with your dad. But what I really want to know is what do you do for downtime? What do you guys do when you're not playing?
We go to the football together. We support the Brisbane Lions.
Oh, there we go.
We mean Aussie rules football.
Not that there's anything wrong with the other football. We're going to get trashed for saying football.
Yeah, exactly.
The tight shorts are the best.
It's kind of funny because I kind of spoke to myself when you said that your daughter, I believe, plays football and your son plays guitar, because in our family we're the opposite.
Yeah.
So my brother, he does listen to music, but a very different genre. And Dad completely supports that. My mother completely supports that. I support that. And he is playing AFL football. So
wow.
It's very cool to kind of see that dynamic in our family. And
my dad
up. Yeah. Sorry?
I said very similar with my family. Yeah. Obviously, really good.
Exactly. My dad kind of grew up playing AFL football a little bit as well in his household. So that's cool because he's kind of, as children, we've kind of got both the genes. Yeah. We've got the musical genes and the sporty genes. And as much as I love my boxing, and that's what I'll do in downtime, actually, I'll work out and do boxing and stuff. I really
but you're really arty as well. Like Cassidy's always been very good at drawing and painting and stuff like that. So the arts,
I'm more creative.
Yeah, very creative that way.
Well, the connection goes even further, Steve, because I believe your birthday is November the 28th.
Correct.
Which is the same day as my son. So there you go.
Very good. Very good.
There's more of a connection than you think. I definitely straight away We did actually have years ago on Channel 4, they tried to break various things. Like I think one week it was kabaddi, and then they tried to break Australian rules football. And there was a guy that used to play for Hawthorns, I think, called Dipienko or something.
Yeah, Dippy Domenico. Yep.
I mean, this guy used to have fights with players, and then if someone was abusing him in the crowd, he'd jump in and start smacking them.
Yeah, it's a very rough game. I mean, in particular for my wife to watch my son, because my son's 6'4", so he's a lot taller than me, and he's at the age of he's just turned 17, and he's trying to make it and doing quite well, mind you. But it's a very, very tough game. Having said that, we've got a lot of respect for your football. I mean,
for sure.
Yeah, we
a lot of people around us are very into. We call it, so in Australia, I call it soccer. So whenever someone football, I'm like Aussie rules.
Yeah.
But
well, the World Cup's up now, so. It's
exactly.
it's kind of like all attention on that. I mean, by this time, England would have played probably once or playing their second game by now. So we're either like the whole country's in mourning or it's getting over the top and excited. I mean, we just go so over the top. It's ridiculous, you know.
I love it though. Really, I love. We love sport.
We love sport in general.
So it's a huge thing. So yeah, man, we're very much just. We do, in terms of getting back to what you were talking about before, we do a lot of things together in regards to, like, we holiday together and actually enjoy each other's time. And I'm all about, as is my wife, just about trying to, guide my kids without sort of taking over. I mean, Cassidy plays rock and roll because she wants to, not because I forced her to. You know what I mean? There's a big difference. So, and Cassidy's always been brought up on, we try to play her anything from Prince all the way through to Ronnie James Dio to Pat Benatar to Hart so we've tried to just give her a lot of music, and she's into what she's into, and she's kind of putting her own spin on that 70s, 80s, 90s style.
Exactly. And I think it's really important to remember as well that our family dynamic kind of shows that my brother wasn't forced into music. I wasn't forced into music. And he's playing AFL, and I'm doing music. I'm doing rock and roll. So I think that that is a real indication of how we were brought up. And in regards to writing and recording rock and roll music, my dad has always instilled in me that a good song is a good song, regardless of the genre. So it's been very cool to kind of see myself pave the way as an artist and as a rock and roll artist.
I think you're very lucky to have parenting like that. I think I gather your mum's Hungarian, and I think Janevski. You said to me the other day it's a Macedonian name. So
correct.
Your roots are. My wife is Polish, and I've grown up with that Eastern European thing, but I love that family feeling. I mean, the Italians have a thing called La Cucina Povera, where the families get together and they sit around the table, and that stability that you have, and I can see that. What does Mum do when you go on tour? What does she do?
She sometimes follows us on tour. It actually depends on, and I know this sounds a little bit princess, and it is princess. Let me tell you, I have reminded her. If the weather's warm, my mum will come on tour with us. If it's not warm, she won't come on tour with us. So she's not here with us on the UK tour, but I think she's getting a little bit of FOMO over in Australia.
Yeah, well, I've taken time off. Like my wife and I, we're both primary school teachers. So I'm
big respect.
Teacher. So I'm teaching kids from the age of 5 to about 12, and my wife does the same thing. So where possible, one of us will try and go on tour with Cassidy. I mean, I know she's old enough now, but I mean, as a parent, you never stop sort of worrying, right? So you want to guide her. And having said that, we do have our disagreements and stuff, just like all families. So
I don't know what you're talking about, really.
Threw a pillow at me before.
Oh yeah, I threw a pillow at him.
Okay, well, this is something I mentioned at the beginning. I'm going to tell you this now because this is important to me. About 20 years ago, I went to Australia. I travelled all the way from Port Douglas down to Melbourne. But when I was in the Barrier Reef, I couldn't go diving. I'd had an injury to my toe. I had an operation, and my wife had gone diving. And I sat on a boat and I met a guy called Steve, same name as you, and we had a couple of VBs together. He said, "Is the one thing you want to do when you're in Australia? Is the one thing that you'd like to do?" And I said, "Well, as a child, I saw a film called Picnic at Hanging Rock, and it had such an effect on me. Yeah, and it really affected me. And I was quite emotional. He goes, oh, well, I'll tell you what, Matt, we'll go there. I was there for 6 weeks. You know, on the day I was just about to fly out to Fiji, I got a phone call. He goes, hi, Matt, it's Steve. I went, hi. He goes, when are you leaving? I said, tomorrow I'm flying to Fiji. Tomorrow. He goes, oh, man, what time? I said, half 10. I'll be around at 5 o'clock. He came around and picked me up. I was staying in St Kilda. He picked me up, took me to Hanging Rock just as the sun was coming up.
Oh,
and I
wow.
just started well up with tears. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. And I said, thanks so much. And I was sort of digging, looking for these missing schoolgirls. And he explained to me that it was actually a story. It wasn't actually true. And I said, why did you do that? He said, that's the Australian way. And ever since then, I've wanted to look after an Australian. Every time someone comes to this country, I've wanted to try and do my best to thank just for that bit of kindness. So this is what I want to do. I want to push Cassidy Paris. I want to push Wicked Smile. I want to do what I can for you guys here in my capacity, because that little bit of kindness meant a lot to me at the time.
Oh, no, I appreciate it.
Yeah, sometimes, I mean, you know, too many people, I think, get stuck in the rat race kind of thing, and they're just trying to sort of get ahead. Whereas you're 100% right. I mean, we're the same. Whenever we travel, we've had so many people just be so generous. I mean, Cassidy toured, myself and Cassidy toured Japan a couple of years ago, and the generosity fantastic. And same thing with the UK. We've made so many lifelong friends. It's the real deal.
Yeah,
you know, so that's the thing. We keep in touch. I mean, Cassidy's like, I always call her the queen of social media, because she's all over us. She's teaching me, you know, so it's lovely. It really is.
It is. And you know what, like, I think a massive thing that I was brought up on is that kindness is a cycle, and it'll always come back to you. So I really believe in that, and thank you for being an advocate for that, because I really appreciate people that are kind of taking that the approach on with their lives, because it really does help. And if everyone can help out in the world, then the world would be a much nicer, kinder place. And
it just makes you feel better anyway. That's the way I look at it.
100%.
I mean, we talk about this all the time. You know, I had a couple of messages overnight from our Hastings show last night, and people just saying really lovely things. And I said, it works two ways. I mean, it really does, because you develop that friendship and bond. And
exactly,
there was a couple of ladies like Miranda. Who else was there? Susie,
Sonia,
and and your son. Yeah, there's so many lovely people.
Mozzie,
and Mozzie and Six and stuff. It's just they're lifelong friends, you know, and they'll always be part of our inner circle, because it's easy for people to say, like, sometimes you just hear these negative things where people say things like, oh, when you're big, you know, I'll come and see you. And I'm like, we need your support now. You know what I mean?
It's the easiest thing in the world. I mean, in a nutshell, no is 2 letters, yes is 3 letters. I mean, if you want to do it. And it's so easy to be negative about stuff. And, you know, I've been in the arse end of this industry for a long time. And, you know, but I'm not bitter. I'm not I love it. I get up, and I did a pub on Friday night, and I had an absolute amazing time. I had the whole audience up for a good night, and I loved it. And that's why I came down to Hastings. I wanted to come and see you. It was really difficult. I had a lot of things going on yesterday, but I took the 1.5 hour trip down there to come and see you, to show my face, to say hello, to see you guys. I managed to catch 5 minutes of Wicked Smile, but I had to nip back because I had to pick my son up from a pub. Again, parenting, you know, and it's what's important. Now, what I want to do is I want to plug what you both guys have got out. I know that Wicked Smile have got an album called Wait for the Night, isn't it? Is that correct? Well, actually, 2 banging tracks on there that I was into. Stronger, definitely, and the Days one. Was that Days and something?
Days. Yeah, great. Well, Stronger was about, I wrote that song about Cassidy in terms of the bullying stuff, and just about looking at it on a positive side. You know, you can be stronger. You can, you know, don't worry about it. There's always going to be people who are going to try and push you down and stuff. You know, it's tall poppy syndrome and stuff. But you know what? You can beat this. So looking at things in a positive way. And Days of Delirium, a lot of the lyrics that we've focused on, we take a lot from the 80s, particularly musically, hard rock metal. But lyrically, we wanted to take it a step further than the cliche love and stuff. So we you know, that one's about the human mind and stuff, and just the struggles some people have, and we all have sometimes.
Totally. And Cassidy, you've got a new single out called Danger, which is an absolute banger, which I've been annoying my family with. I've been blasting it out, which is it's a great song. It really is.
Much. Yeah, it's Danger's definitely been a process, and it's been fantastic to kind of see how my music has evolved since, you know, being 14 and releasing Talk About It. So I think that a lot of people are starting to see what kind of journey I want to go on with my music, and I'm very much the same as my dad. I'm very influenced by 80s rockers, so your Lita Fords, your Joan Jetts, your Pat Benetars. I'm influenced by a lot of those artists, females in rock, obviously, and then obviously with a modern twist on it. So creating hopefully a new generation of rock and rollers is my main aim.
It's a good one to have. They say the future is safe in people like your hands. I like that. My son's he's in a rock. He locks himself in the bedroom, and I've had him on stage with me a couple of times, and he just absolutely loves it. So it's a great feeling. But he's got his own path. He's doing it, and I'm letting him get on with it. But I've got a book coming out next year, and I'm getting one of my old bands I was in years ago to do it. And him and his best mate are going to play lead guitar for me. So that's going to be a real trip for me. I'm looking forward to that. But guys, all I can say is I'm very excited. You know, it's happening now. If you're out there, guys, check these guys out. Check them out. The tour, it's still got 2 dates as of today when it comes out on Friday in Bathgate and Winter Storm, and they're going to down an absolute scream. Watch both of them, Wicked Smile and Cassidy Paris. It's been an absolute pleasure. You talked about having friends for life. Well, you've got one here, and I know we keep in touch anyway, and we will continue to do so. And I wish you all the best. Give my love to your mum when you get back there. And
thank you.
Who knows? Might be out to Oz myself, and I'll come and check you out when I'm over there.
Sounds fantastic. Thank you so much, Matt.
I know you've got another interview to get to. So listen, guys, thank you for being on Matt's Chats. It's an absolute pleasure. I feel like I've got an exclusive with the hottest ticket in town. So thanks, guys. Thanks very much. Lots of love. Speak soon, okay?
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
All the best. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.